Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome to Backyard Wrestling Cinema Season 4, Episode 8. After a number of our episodes didn't air on our public access TV show, we decided to just regroup with a fresh start, and our next show was a pay-per-view called State of Emergency. The show opened with Mumbles taking on Minister Mark Moses, and because a number of the previous episodes didn't air, we never showed Mumbles as his new character, the Prophecy, Michael Green, and there was really no explanation as to why Minister Mark Moses, who was previously known as Mr. Benjamins, was now known with a completely new name and a new character. Moses was getting frustrated with his new character, and we were getting frustrated with him for how little he was putting into it. It was just very obvious that he just didn't want to do this character, and it was coming across on TV, and it was starting to annoy a lot of us. These two still went out there and beat the hell out of each other.
And the limp minister! Oh!
Never saw that one before.
Triple M! 2. Oh! Kick right though! This one's for the Lord, you can tell.
Oh yeah.
By the look in minister's face. Oh!
Power bomb.
No noise, you know that hurt. It's over. That has to be it.
And in the end, Mark Moses got the win. Next up, Homeboy Joe Slice would defend the world title against Tommy Thunder. It was the first major match back for Homeboy Joe Slice between these two, since Homeboy actually had knee surgery a couple months prior. It was a great back and forth match with a lot of unique spots for us at the time.
Fit all on Tommy Thunder's hand, showing the lack of respect. Oh! Superplex! Up to their feet first.
Whoever
You
does.
gotta believe. I think whoever gets to their feet first is gonna win this one. Double flip up!
Use my
Oh!
Reversed.
When all the smoke cleared, Tommy Thunder beat Homeboy Joe Slice and was our new B4W World Champion. Next up was Slug in his face paint, and he would take on Criminal Cage with referee Christian Greed and the debuting Hellspawn, who was my childhood friend. Now, Hellspawn and I, whose real name was Jay, that was the first wrestling friend I ever had. He lived right next door to me. We would wrestle with our wrestling buddies, the WWF wrestling buddies, in either my backyard or in the front of our house. And in between our house, there was this wooden fence that separated our two houses, and it was almost like our wrestling ropes, and that's what we used to do, jumping off the ropes or hitting the ropes and everything like that. And all these years later, I still can't remember why it took us so long to invite Jay to be a part of this show. The only thing I could think is that he was on the other side of town, he no longer lived next door to me, and not all of us had cars. And that's the only reason I can think that he wasn't included earlier. We certainly were still friends, we still saw each other as often as we could, so I really have no explanation as to why he wasn't a part of the show sooner. This would be one of the first times that the public access audience would see Criminal Cage, who was previously known as Rico DMF, and we didn't do a great job of explaining his new character. Hellspawn looked super menacing in that plain red t-shirt, and we probably should have made him like Criminal Cage's parole officer or something to introduce him. I think that would have made more sense.
He's got it locked in.
And that's it! That's it!
But in the end, we saw Criminal Cage get the win with his submission, the Dupe-Defier. Next up, the XWA Canadian title was on the line as Bobby Bowe defended against The Beast. We were in the middle of the XWA invasion, and even though a lot of stuff didn't air, we kept the titles and the title histories as though it all still happened. Maybe that was because, just in case I ever did a multi-part YouTube series talking about our backyard wrestling history.
Oh no. And, oh! Find something. Oh, beautiful. New champion. He better move. Oh! That's it. Just big splash.
The end saw the Beast capture the XWA Canadian title. Next up, the XWA champion, TLD, would take on the returning TJ Money. And I say it in quotes because he'd already returned like 3 times, but it never aired. The match took place in complete darkness, and we did our best to use spotlights, but these old cameras were not meant to to pick up these low light scenarios. Fortunately, we came up with a solution that we'd start implementing next week to fix this nighttime issue. TJ would win the title, but immediately after exhibited the same issues we had with him previously when he was the B4W World Champion.
Look at that belt now. He rips it out of Christian Green's hand. Hey, he ducks it again.
Oh!
He's got him up.
He's got him up! And he spent the biggest ever seen in the Federation. He nailed the Lesnar. You piece of
He's going. 1, 2, 3.
He started cursing and swearing, which just was not what we wanted our show to be at the time. So we immediately, right out of the gate, lost faith in him once again and realized that all his time off, it didn't really change his behavior. Now that goes to say, this is 20 years ago. He's in that, 18, 19, 17-year-old rebellious phase. So he just wants to, rebel against the people running the show, which was me. Unfortunately, I was also in that phase. So my attitude was, okay, we'll just use him less and less and not feature him. And it's clear we can't make him a main eventer. And our personalities at that time would just kind of butt heads. As TJ Money celebrated his win as the new XWA champion, Tommy Thunder, the new B4W champion, clapped for him seductively in the entranceway and in what was a sign of things to come. Post-show, we brought back the bloopers, and it was a combination of taping stuff from this episode and some of the episodes that never even aired, including ones I don't even have footage of. Like when it snowed and we did a Christmas episode and one of the guys threw snow at the camera and destroyed probably our 5th camera since the start of the series.
the ball in the ring. Oh, that me. 2. Oh! 2. 2. Oh!
As for the daylight, nighttime situation, we finally had a solution. We'd officially begin splitting the shows and we would tape B4W during the daylight and XWA during the nighttime in order to give the shows a completely separate feel. And that was all going to happen next week. So we'll see you next time right here on Backyard Wrestling Cinema.
Oh! Big splash!
That was 3/4.
That's what it's all about right there, the respect between these two.
Wow, just ramming.
All right, let's go, Kate. Get back.
Plug into
Let's go.